It's a long and difficult trip to reach the remote, famine-stricken villages of southeast Madagascar. The Batsirai and Emnati cyclones last year and Cyclone Freddy this year damaged roads and cut off residents. The deadly storms destroyed the harvests and made it almost impossible to deliver goods. With humanitarian aid slow to arrive and inflation driving up prices, several 100,000 people in this fertile region have been plunged into an unprecedented famine. The situation is so dire that locals have been forced to do the unthinkable. Parents have been forced to abandon or, worse still, sell their children. One struggling mother approached Josiane a few months ago.
She was raising her 7 children alone, and she couldn't cope anymore, so she came to sell her 11-year-old son. I told her, "This isn't right. Don't sell him. If you brought him into this world, it's because you love him. Don't do that to a child, it hurts." She replied, "I can't take it anymore, and I prefer to leave him to you." I asked her how much she thought she could sell him for, and she replied 5 million ariary, or 1,090 euros.
We've heard equally harrowing accounts from others who didn't want to be filmed, yet the government formally denies that any parents have sold children. Josiane learned the official position the hard way when the regional governor visited in January.
Just as I was speaking, they cut me off and said my account was not valid. They did not record what I was saying. 3 gendarmes were filming, and when the governor spoke, he said that part could not be recorded.
This young girl was found abandoned in a rice field with a rope around her neck. She was just 3 months old. When Narisu heard the news, she immediately decided to adopt the baby.
I think her mother wanted to kill her by putting a rope around her neck, but the child was found in time.
Her mother couldn't feed her anymore. She couldn't afford it, and she abandoned her. She said she shouldn't abandon her like that, but she didn't know what to feed her. She might as well throw her away and kill her. She said that if we found the baby, we could keep it because she had nothing to feed her. And I don't have a daughter, so I took her in.
One of the few available edible plants is known locally as pico-pico. But when it's consumed in large amounts, it's toxic and causes stomach cramps. These women spend their days digging for the roots.
There is no manioc, there's nothing to eat. That's why I work the ground to find pico-pico.
Séverine has no choice other than to feed her starving daughter with pico-pico.
My child ate this plant called pico-pico and a fruit called apalibe. That's why she's like this. I didn't know what to give her. That's why we gave her this. Her head was like this before, but it's her body that has become very thin. This child is 11 months old, but she doesn't have enough to eat. That's why we came here.
Médecins Sans Frontières has set up a crisis response unit at a health center in Ifaneria. Along with local medical staff, the NGO screened 6,500 children and found a rate of severe malnutrition 3 times higher than the alert threshold.
We did a screening, and in total, in the Il-Congo district, we found almost a 20% global malnutrition rate. This is really a major health problem.
According to the United Nations, this is the worst affected district in Madagascar. 20% of children under 5 are malnourished. 15% of the total population is in a critical situation, a higher rate than in the Great South, which has been grappling with drought for the past 2 years.
Before they had access to crops, they could feed themselves. And now with the cyclone, they've lost the crops, the infrastructure is damaged, they've lost all of their means. Some families are in such a desperate situation that they have approached members of Doctors Without Borders, offering to sell their children to support the rest of the family.
The World Food Programme expects as many as 900,000 people to be acutely food insecure as climate and weather patterns change. To make matters worse, the region is now reeling from the destructive effects of Cyclone Freddy.